Well, good afternoon, Lake Erie Council. You're here with me, Jarrod. I'm the camp director out at Fireland Scout Reservation, and happy to be here for our bear den meeting, doing the adventure Critters Who Care. And I'm here with a special guest today. This is Peggy Thompson, who is a all-around great scouter, who does so much for us, working in the inclusive scouting division, but has also worked at camp and is planning to be at camp with us at Firelands this summer. Welcome, Peggy.
Thank you for having me, Jarrod.
So glad to have you here, because I hear that you have quite the zoo at your house.
That's definitely a possibility.
Well, today we're going to learn a little bit about taking care of pets and different critters that you may be interested in caring for as a pet. We're going to see some animals that we have at both of our houses, talk about how we can care for them and how they can care for us. We're going to go through some questions with a local veterinarian who's put together a presentation for us. And I think that we're going to get close up with some of your reptiles and amphibians, right?
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, while our guests are still arriving here today, let's start off with our little gathering activity. And what I've done here, Peggy, is I have written on this little notepad here an animal for you to guess. And I'm hoping that you have one for me to guess too.
Ooh, yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So we'll ask each other questions and see who can guess the animal first. And if you're following along in the Facebook comments, we'd love to hear what you think the animals are, and we'll see who can guess it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fantastic. Well, I've got mine ready. Why don't you ask me the first question?
Okay. Does it have a spinal cord?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Does your animal have fur?
Yes, it does.
Okay, furry animal. All right, your turn.
Is your animal ectothermic or endothermic? Is it warm-blooded or cold-blooded?
My animal is warm-blooded, so that would be endothermic, right?
Exactly. Endothermic.
Cool.
Okay.
So yours is furry. Does your animal have a tail?
Teeny one.
A teeny tail, okay.
Okay, so I have a warm-blooded animal. Is it a mammal? Does it have fur and produce milk for its young?
It does indeed, yes.
Okay.
Have you seen your animal in the last week?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But it did used to live at my house.
Oh, okay. So it could be a pet.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Is your animal a type of pet?
Not usually. Not usually. Have heard of people having these animals as pets, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. Not pet. Okay.
Let's see who's joining us here. Sounds like the Turnus family is joining us, along with Miss Julia Hearn, of course.
Hey, folks. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Your turn to ask a question.
So yours, you have not seen in the last week. Does your animal have, does it stand on 2 legs or 4?
4.
4 legs. Okay.
Let's see. Not a pet, but it's a mammal. I had a question, I forgot it.
Well, while you're thinking of your question, the Turnus family is guessing that yours is a rabbit.
No, it is not.
All right, not a rabbit.
Not a rabbit. I remember my question. Is yours an herbivore, a carnivore, or an omnivore? Does yours eat fruits and vegetables, meat, or both?
I think that my animal is an herbivore, just fruits and vegetables. And one type of, I don't think I could even call it a fruit or a vegetable. It's kind of in between. One type of food in particular it likes a lot.
Okay.
Thanks for putting in your answers there. Love to hear what you think the animal that Peggy and I are guessing for each other. Peggy, why don't you close your eyes? I'm going to show our audience here what she is trying to guess. All right. So this is my animal for Peggy. All right, you can look again.
Okay. You said it likes one specific type of food?
It likes one specific type of food, yes.
Does it eat other types of food?
Yes.
So it's not a koala bear.
It is not a koala bear.
Okay.
Right kind of habitat, though.
Oh.
And let's see. Michelle Lynn is guessing yours is a guinea pig.
Nope, it is not a guinea pig.
All right, we'll ask one more question, then we'll get our meeting started here. I'm going to ask, does your animal hibernate in the winter? Meaning, does it go to sleep or really, really reduce its activity during the winter time?
Actually, my animal loves the winter time.
Ooh.
It has a very thick coat of fur, and if it gets above about 70 degrees, it's too hot.
Ooh, so it really likes the cold.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it was fur.
Has
it was
fur.
A furry animal. Stands on 4 legs.
Mm-hmm.
You have not seen this animal in the last week. Let's see if anybody can guess what yours is. And I have one thought, but I don't know if it's right.
Okay.
Do you have a guess of what mine is? The audience already knows what mine is.
Kangaroo?
It kind of looks like a little tiny kangaroo, but no, unfortunately not. It is a squirrel.
A squirrel? Oh.
So it is not a carnivore. It doesn't eat meat, but it also doesn't really, I don't know if nuts really fit into the fruit or vegetable category there.
Well, it would be an herbivore, but it's an herbivore. It eats leaves and fruits and vegetables. Gotcha. Mine was a chinchilla.
A chinchilla? Oh, that would have been really hard to guess. Michelle Lynn was guessing it, bobcat, the Turnus family, a bear, and Julia Richardson was guessing a toad. So unfortunately, none of us got it right. That was kind of a hard one there, Peggy.
Yours was hard too.
But I saw mine in the last week.
Well, yes, you have.
All right. Well, thanks for playing that game with us, everybody. You can play this at home by putting an animal on your head or on a partner's head, a random animal, and then you get to walk around and ask each other questions about what your animal is, because you can't see yours, but everybody else can see what you are. So that's kind of a fun game to play with your family. All right, you ready to get our meeting started?
I'm ready to get going.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to open our meeting the way we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance and then the Scout Law and the Scout Oath. So if you are in uniform, you can put your hand in the Scout sign up to your head with the Scout salute, or if you're not in uniform, hand over your heart, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. And Peggy, do you want to lead us in the Scout Oath?
Uh-oh, it's been a couple weeks.
Well, I can help you along. When you put your Scout sign up, make sure you have your arm kind of all extended. Can't really see it in my picture here.
Straight up and down, because we're short.
Exactly.
On my honor.
On my honor, I will do my best
to do
my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Very good. And I'll go into the Scout Law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. Now, those of you who have been joining us for the past few den meetings, you probably already know my next question. I usually ask, what's the Cub Scout motto, and ask for that in the comments. But I would love to hear if you Bear Scouts who are getting close to joining a Scouts BSA troop, if you can give us the Scouts BSA motto instead. So see what you guys know. Oh, it looks like it's actually Owen Richardson who is joining us. Hi, Owen. Thanks for joining us. All right, Peggy, what you got for us here?
Okay, so today we're going to talk about critter care. And the requirements are, if you have a pet, you have to take care of that pet for 2 weeks and list everything you did. Or you can research a pet you'd like to own and prepare a report of the care it needs. And for those of you who have a pet, you can take care of it for 2 weeks. But today, I'm going to show you a couple of my pets, and Jarrod's going to show you one of his to help start you on that research. And then
sounds like a plan.
You need to make a poster or PowerPoint about your pet or pet you would like to have and share it, or make a poster or PowerPoint that tells about 3 ways animals help people and share that. So I was thinking that the Lake Erie Council View from the Office Facebook page would be a great place to share those posters. What do you think, Jarrod?
Yeah, that would be great. You can share them here in this the comment here if you're here with us live, or I'd love to see those posted either to our Facebook page or the View from the Office using that hashtag Scouting at Home, so we can see all of your great work.
And then finally, and this one we can't do right now, is visit a local veterinarian or animal shelter caretaker, find out what animals they see regularly and the types of care they give the animal, or learn about careers that involve care of animals, what kind of education, training, and experience are required. And I have a really good friend who's a dog groomer, and she's the one that did a video for us to watch at the end so that we can learn all about what dog grooming is like.
Well, that sounds cool. I'm ready to learn a little bit today. I've got a dog of my own here, and I can show you. He's my buddy today. He's been hanging out with me, and his name is Finn. He's chewing on one of his favorite bones there.
So today we're going to talk about some different pets and how to take care of them, and we'll watch a video. I already talked about that. This is my daughter's dog, Post. He thinks he can do homework.
Smart.
I don't think dogs can help with homework very much, can they?
They can only help eat it, is what I've heard.
Yeah, they're really good at eating it. And then that's my daughter's cat. She likes to dress him up in shirts.
Very cute.
We do weird things to our animals, don't we?
Yes, we like them a lot. I also want to let you know that Will Box said the Scouts BSA motto is "Be prepared." Well done, Will. You are absolutely correct. And Angie went above and beyond and said that the slogan is "Do a good turn daily." So thanks for participating with us, guys.
So this is Xander. He's my buddy. He likes going places with me. But today, I'm going to introduce you to Lucy and Bert. This is Bert's first picture. I got Bert about 1.5 years ago. And when I got him, he was only about this big, only about the size of a quarter.
Wow.
He was really small. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was illegal for him to be sold to me that way.
Oh, really? He was too small?
He was too small. There is a law that says that unless it is for educational or scientific purposes, turtles cannot be sold until they're at least 4 inches in length. And here's a tape measure. This is 4 inches. And I'm going to measure him today and see if he's big enough to be sold yet. Not that I'm going to sell him. And I did get him for educational purposes so I could share information about him. So I guess it wasn't completely against the law, but he was still really, really tiny.
I don't want to take a little baby animal away from its natural habitat, huh?
Well, unfortunately, when turtles are that small, people can swallow them. Oh,
we don't want to do that.
Yep. You don't want to swallow a turtle. And why turtles were in people's mouths is really beyond me. But people were putting turtles in their mouths and swallowing them. And then they'd get sick because reptiles can carry something called salmonella. And salmonella can make you really, really sick. Okay, so let's see if technology is going to work with me.
Okay.
And I am going to okay, so this is, well, he's hiding. This is Bert. Well,
Bert.
he's in there. He's a little shy today. So first, let's measure him. When you measure a turtle, you measure from one end of the shell to the other. So do you guys think he's quite big enough to sell yet?
A little bit higher there for us. From one end of the shell to the other. Let's see what people think. Looks like the Richardsons say that that's pretty gross that people were swallowing turtles.
I agree. So his shell ends right about here. Do you think he's
Looks like he's pretty close, but maybe not quite there.
Close. He has about a ½ inch left.
Okay. And how old is he?
He's so I got him as a hatchling, and from the research I did, he hadn't hatched that. It was really close to when he had hatched that I'd gotten him. So he's about 1.5 years old. I got him in August of 2018. And then, so what you're seeing on your screen that's squiggling around is my digital microscope. There we go. And it'll allow us to see his shell close up. So Bert is a red-eared slider. And it might be too bright in here. There we go. He's a red-eared slider. And all reptiles have scales. On turtles, the interesting thing is the scales are their shell. So that's a very hard shell. And not only that, this area might be able to bring this up a little bit. Oh. So this area right here, that's actually his spine. Shells are modified ribs. So when you see those cartoons where the turtle dashes out of its shell and leaves the shell spinning behind it, that'd
be a problem.
They're attached to their shell. So he's getting a little brave. And he's decided to put out one leg. So turtles have claws on the ends of their toes, like we're able to see here. And you see he has these beautiful green and yellow colors. He's a red-eared slider. And if he decides to poke his head out, you're going to see how he got that name. It's really cool. But he is really far in that shell right now.
He's a little scared right now.
Yep.
Oh, look at his
face. So do you see that little bit of red?
I do, yep.
He has red stripes on either side of his face, like right above the eyes. And that's why he's called a red-eared slider.
Oh, because it's like where his ears are.
Exactly, exactly. So it's really important.
Pretty cool.
He is really cool. It's really important to do research before, and this is his belly. And one of the things when you have a turtle that you need to watch, that you need to keep an eye on, is disease. Because actually taking care of turtles is a little more complicated than I thought. Do you see that area in between his shell right there?
I do.
I don't have another hand or I'd point it out. Sometimes they can get infections which make their shell soft. So I have to constantly be looking for black spots on his belly. And when I first got him, I took him to the vet twice because I thought that he had shell rot, which is what that's called. However, see these cool decorations on his belly?
I do. They're like little circly things.
They're little circly things. So you can see this that area right there, that is parts of the shell underneath that will eventually come out as he sheds those scales. I thought he was sick. So I took him to the vet. I think the vet laughed at me. And then I took him to the vet later because one of the ways that and I'm going to turn this off. One of the ways that you can tell if a turtle is sick is if its mouth gets red. Well, red-eared sliders, like Bert here, are omnivorous, which means they eat both plants and animals. And guess what I fed him?
Just
I
plants?
fed him a carrot.
Okay.
Do you know what a carrot does to a turtle's mouth?
What's that?
It makes him look like he's wearing lipstick.
Oh, that's what you thought was going on.
I thought he was sick again. That, and when turtles blow bubbles, it's usually a sign that they have a cold because they'll blow bubbles to clear the mucus. Well, Bert likes to blow bubbles just because he's a little weirdo. So
sounds like you have to do your research ahead of time before you have them, so you know what's important and what's not.
I should have done a lot more research before I got Bert. Aquatic turtles need to have sun because it's what makes their shell real hard. They need sun, and if you need a special light to give them that sun. So I have to buy special lights for him to give him UVA and UVB rays. And then I also need to give him a special light that, oh, we have two legs. We might have a head soon. Uh-oh.
Now we can see him a little bigger.
Oh, okay. So I also need to have a special light to keep him warm because he needs a basking spot. And for every inch of shell, I should have 10 gallons worth of water for him. You gonna stare at everybody?
Hi, Bert.
So,
And Owen Richardson was asking what type he was again, which was, if I remember right, a red-eared slider.
He's a red-eared slider. Now, the interesting thing about red-eared sliders is that they're only supposed to exist in southern Ohio. But we're starting to see red-eared sliders up here in northeast Ohio. Could anybody take a guess as to why that might be? There's two reasons.
We'll take a little, has a little delay before they'll be able to answer.
Okay.
But we'll come back to that.
Okay.
What, if you're not feeding him carrots anymore because you thought it made him sick, what are you feeding him now?
So I give him pellets, and then he can also have vegetables like lettuce, not iceberg lettuce, but romaine. He can have dandelion greens. I buy him super worms, so he can eat super worms. And then I sometimes give him snails. And what else do I give him? I still give him carrots every once in a while.
The snails and superworms seems like something he'd be able to find in his natural habitat for sure.
Exactly. One of the things you want to do with an animal like a red-eared slider is try to give it as much, you want to get as close to its natural habitat as you can. So you want to give it as much, stuff that he'd be able to forage for. So he'll eat worms.
Very cool.
Now, the vet said I can give him guppies, but not goldfish. Goldfish are too fatty. But I haven't been able to bring myself to do that yet.
I see that. Well, Angie, who's following along with us, says she has no idea why they'd be moving into Northeast Ohio with us. Can you explain? Oh, actually, Will says people introduced other fish in Yellowstone, which kill off some of the natural fish there. So is there some sort of invasive species thing going on?
They're a bit invasive. There's two reasons. One, because of climate change, our winters are not as harsh as they used to be. So they're moving further up from the south every year because the temperature is allowing them to do that. But more importantly, it's because of the pet trade. Red-eared sliders can live for 20 years.
That's a long time. That's more
That
than
is
your
a long
average
time.
pet.
But guess what happens sometimes when people get bored of taking care of their pet?
Did they release them into the wild? Is that why they're coming back here?
Yep, they dump them in the wild.
Mm.
And for the red-eared slider, it means it's starting to push out other turtles that are native to our area. Like the painted turtle is starting to be a little scarcer because the red-eared slider eats the same food that the other turtles eat.
So just kind of like what Will said about other fish being introduced in Yellowstone that push the natural fish out.
Exactly. And one of the things before you buy a pet, you got to know how long it's going to live, because if you're not prepared to take care of it for 20 years, then maybe a turtle is not a pet for you.
It makes sense. You know, I've actually got a turtle here too, and well, he's called a turtle. It's an eastern box turtle. But the weird thing about eastern box turtles is that they're actually tortoises.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll show a couple of differences between those. But while I get set up to show you my turtle, I have a burning question from a couple of our Cub Scouts. What are superworms?
Oh, so superworms are the larval stage of some sort of really weird moth. You can get them in all sorts of sizes. Some are as tiny as this, and then there's like these huge ones that are really creepy and I can't deal. But they're a larval stage of a moth.
So they're not like your typical earthworm.
No, they're not like typical earthworms. Although some people have said I could feed Bert earthworms, which would mean then going to the bait shop and just picking up some worms. But those worms don't last as long as superworms. Superworms will last for about a month.
Well, for those of you that are interested in worms, I have a surprise for you, because today we're going to be feeding my turtle some night crawlers.
Ooh.
And I'm not back at the computer now, so I won't be able to answer your comments. I won't be able to see them. But I do want to introduce to you my turtle. His name is Remus. He is about 6 years old, and he lives in this habitat with some coconut substrate, which is a nice dirty sort of material that keeps the moisture in, so it keeps his skin nice and moist because he doesn't want to be too dry. Peggy, you talked earlier about having a special light that keeps their shell hard, and I have one of those that I can show, which is a UV light. It's kind of blue there, you can see.
Yeah.
And he also has his heat lamp, which keeps him nice and warm, and that's why he's hiding right underneath here, because he is, as we talked about earlier, exothermic, so he gets his heat from outside his body.
Nice.
Now, a couple things that I have to do to keep care of Remus that we haven't mentioned so far is, just like almost any pet, you have to make sure that they have fresh food and water every day. So I'm gonna pour out his water that he likes to get a bunch of dirt in here. Maybe I can set the camera here so you can see. Finn is saying hello. So I'm gonna wash out his dish. Normally I'd give it a whole scrub, but I just want to get him some nice clear water in here today. And then the star of the show, he loves his earthworms. So we'll see if we can pull them out here. If you don't like worms, or if you don't like going fishing, you might have to get a fork or something, but they don't gross me out. I think it's kind of fun. So I always put his worms right here where he expects his food, in his little food bowl. And we'll pull him out here so he can see that he has a meal waiting for him. And just like your red-eared slider, he is an omnivore, so he eats both fruits and vegetables and meat. So he really likes these worms for a special treat. And see, he's already grabbed it.
Hey, Jarrod, did you know that young box turtles are usually a little bit more meat eaters, and as they get older, they'll go almost strictly vegetarian?
I did. It actually concerned me when I had Remus when he was small, because he didn't want to eat any of the fruits or vegetables I gave him. So I was concerned, and then I did a little bit more research and found out that that was normal. And now he likes particularly red fruits. So I don't know why. Maybe he can see them better, but he likes
Maybe.
his tomatoes and his strawberries and his raspberries. Those are his favorite.
So how do you know he's a boy?
Well, that was another thing that was a little confusing because I didn't do the research I should have ahead of time. But I know that he is a boy now because he has these bright red eyes. And the females of eastern box turtles usually have more brown or muted eyes. Plus, the shape of their bellies are a little bit different as well. He doesn't like that while he's eating. So I'm going to put him back down.
For a lot of male turtles, they'll actually have a divot in their underside. So when they're mating, they don't get hurt.
Exactly. And when he was small, it was kind of hard to tell, and his eyes kind of changed color. So now that he's a little bit older, we know that he is a male. Because
Bert's so young, I don't know if he's male or female yet. They're usually between 4 and 5 years old before you can tell whether red-eared sliders are male or female. Hey, do you know why he's called a box turtle?
Yes, but let's ask our people in the comments if they can guess why they are called a box turtle, and then we will share in a minute. The last thing I'd like to show you here is another way that I like to keep him in his preferred temperature and his preferred humidity, as he has a little mist machine here. So it's going to make his habitat look a little spooky. So he's got some mist that comes out of a tube here, and that collects along all that coconut dirt that we talked about earlier, and it keeps the moisture in. So he is a happy turtle. Hi, Remus. People like to say that turtles are boring, but I think that they're very cool and they have a lot of personality. They're not as slow as people.
They're very personable creatures. I actually never I never thought about snakes or turtles or anything as having personality until I was forced to learn how to take care of them, because I had a job that made me learn how to do it. And then I was like, oh my God, these are the coolest creatures ever.
All right, well, we're back and we have some answers from our bear scouts. So Will says it looks like they're in a box and they hide. James Turnus, the Turnus family says they're asking if they make box-shaped homes. And Owen Richardson says because they like to box.
They might like to box.
And Will, you have the closest answer. It does look like they're in a box and they hide because the bottom of their shell has a little hinge. So just like your door that swings open and closed, they can open and close kind of their belly, the hard part of their belly. So they can pull their head and their feet inside, and then they close up. So it makes them very well protected, like a box.
Very well protected. It's their defense mechanism. And for like birds are one of their biggest predators. In order for a bird to get a box turtle, it has to swoop down and pick the box turtle up and then drop it from a high, like cracking a nut.
Oh, no.
That's how they, but it's how they protect themselves. And did you know that you never want to eat a wild box turtle?
I didn't know that. I've never tried to eat Remus.
Well, just in case there's ever a survival thing going on.
Okay.
You never want to eat a box turtle because box turtles love to eat poisonous mushrooms.
Oh.
And unlike other creatures that if they would eat it and it would just pass through their system, that poison can get stored in their bodies.
So like people always say, you are what you eat.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, I have one more friend.
All right.
Now, this friend I have had for quite a while.
Look at him. I bet he's interesting to take care of.
Oh, this is Lucy. And so she's a ball python. And actually she is male, but when I got her, I was told he was a female. So there's habit going on. So ball pythons are called ball pythons for their defense mechanism. Does anybody know why ball pythons are called ball pythons? Where are you going, Luce?
Andrew thought that your next friend was going to be named Ernie.
No.
How long have you had Lucy?
I have had Lucy since 2009.
That's a long time, about 11 years.
About 11 years. And I figure she is between 14 and 15 years old. Now, you see how she's kind of getting into a ball?
Mm-hmm.
That is how ball pythons get their name. Because when they're nervous or unsure, they ball up. Now, Lucy knows me, so she's not going to ball up very much. Oh, and she's getting ready to shed.
Ooh, let's talk about that a little bit. What is shedding and how do you care for them when they have to shed?
So, where are you going, Luce? There's an old saying in the acting world that you never want to act with animals and kids. And Lucy here is proving that point beautifully. Can you guys see her with her tongue?
I can see her tongue sticking out.
Okay, that is how she smells. There is a organ that they have called the Jacobson's organ, and she brings scent particles from the outside air into her mouth, and then that sends information to her brain. I was going to use the microscope on her, but she's not going to let me. So,
well, I want to let you know that Ben answered that they do like to curl into a ball. So Ben was right. That's how they do their defense mechanism. And Julia was like as well. And Owen coming on with his jokes. We like you there, Owen, because they're bald.
No,
that's right. No hair on a ball python.
Oh, Lucy, don't do that. Don't do that, Lucy. Okay. So,
and Will also says that shedding is how they grow and get rid of their old skin. Is that right?
That is right. All reptiles shed because all reptiles are covered in scales. And since she's not sitting still long enough, all of this is scales. When you're petting a snake, it's very important that you always pet from the head towards the tail. It's a lot for snakes. It's a lot like, have you ever bent a fingernail backwards? You know how badly that hurts?
A lot.
Yeah. So if you pet a snake against the grain of the scales, you can hurt them. So you'd always want to pet head to tail. So every once in a while, they get ready to shed. And one of the things that happens is their belly will turn pink, and her belly isn't that pink right now, but the colors on them start to get kind of dull and take on almost bluish tinge. So as I'm looking at her, I'm seeing that there's places that have a bluish tinge, plus her eyes are starting to get a little dull. Snakes don't blink. They do not have eyelids.
So they would be very good at a staring contest.
They are great at a staring contest, but that also means that snakes' eyesight is really not that good because it's called a spectacle, the scale over their eye. So before they shed, that will turn a milky blue color too. And then one of the interesting things about ball pythons is along the top of their mouth, there's these holes. Those are heat pits. So one of the ways that Lucy can see her prey is by sensing the heat. So let's talk about what Lucy eats. Hi, girl. What do you guys think Lucy eats?
Let's find out.
Yep,
I assume that like our turtles that we talked about, you have to keep Lucy heated too. Is that right?
I do. She has to have a very specific temperature and a very specific humidity level. And I have gauges in her cage that will tell me that. And I actually was prepared for her before I got her. Unlike my turtle, which I should have prepared better.
Oh,
So,
looks like Ben and Will both say mice and rodents.
so ball pythons, if they were in Africa in her native habitat, she would be eating gerbils.
Oh,
However, there's no.
she escaping on you?
Yep. Oh, Lucy, don't do that. How did you do that?
She's crafty.
Yeah. So ball pythons are neat because if they don't recognize the food, they don't eat it. Well, now you're stuck. This is not the first time she's gotten stuck at someplace either. I spend a lot of time.
While you're unsticking her, maybe we'll move on to our next requirement here about how not just how humans can care for their pets, but also how animals can care for humans.
I have one more really cool thing to show you about Lucy, and I think she's
Okay.
calmed down enough that I can do it. So my question is, do snakes have legs?
Well, I've never seen a leg on a snake.
There we go. Okay, so this is Lucy's tail. And way down, almost where her butt is, come on.
Now it's coming into focus.
I don't usually do this, but okay. See that?
So the Richardsons say no, they don't have legs. The Turnises say old time snakes do, and now they're not sure.
Okay, so do you see that weird looking pointy thing right there?
Kind of looks like a claw.
It is. It is a vestigial claw.
A vestigial claw.
Vestigial. So once upon a time, long time ago, when snakes had legs, millions and millions of years ago, snakes had legs. And then over time, they evolved to not need them anymore. So ball pythons and a few other pythons still have evidence of it. And that is the vestigial leg. That is the last little bit of a claw. So next time somebody asks you if snakes have legs, you guys can all say you have seen a leg on a snake.
A very, very small one that's getting sucked back in and disappearing.
Very, very small one, yes. But it is, they are there. Okay, you ready to go back, Luce?
Well, the Richardsons say you have a very cool living necklace.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was our requirement number 1 about learning how to care for pets. And to complete your requirement, you can either put together a small presentation about caring for a pet that you might like, such as a snake or a reptile that we showed today. Or you can talk about the ways that you've cared for one of your existing pets in the past couple weeks. But we know that pets and animals are not just playthings, but they can also be really useful and help us out a lot. So I'm going to share with you a short story about Balto the Sled Dog. And maybe you have seen a movie about this dog, but I'm going to share a little story about how he was very helpful to the people that he worked with. Let's see if I can pull up a picture of Balto here. The story of Balto the Sled Dog. In the year 1925 in Nome, Alaska, there was a terrible diphtheria outbreak that made many, many people sick. Not enough medicine was available to treat all the sick people because no vehicles could make the trip in the terrible snowstorm that had developed.
Then teams of mushers with their sled dogs stepped up and decided they would battle the blinding blizzard and make the trip of 674 miles to deliver the medicine. Balto was one of the heroic lead dogs who helped the people of Nome. He proved himself on the tough Iditarod Trail and also saved his team in the Topcock River when they almost lost the sled. Balto was able to stay on the trail in near whiteout conditions. The man who drove the sled team said he could hardly see his hand in front of his face. Many others helped that night, but Balto, who had led the final leg of the trip, was chosen to be honored for his dedication.
There we go. All right, so animals can be trained to assist with police and emergency crews. They can help police officers with the patrols and arrests, with bomb sniffing dogs and search for explosives. There are drug sniffing dogs to help locate illegal drugs hidden in vehicles and elsewhere, and search and rescue animals can find someone who is lost or trapped. Another way that pets can help is by serving special purposes in the lives of their owners. For example, people who are blind, they can help people as seeing eye dogs. Some dogs can be trained to sense when people have seizures or have diabetes and help those people. Maybe you've noticed a sign on the door of a public building that says service animals are allowed. That's happening more and more in our lives today. And this makes it possible for those special purpose pets to accompany their owners and help to keep them safe. Now, the way that I love my pets the best is because they offer me a lot of companionship. I love them, they love me. They can be cuddly creatures, and they can help reduce stress and anxiety. They also make really good listeners. So if you have a story to tell, they can be a listening ear, and they just love to be part of your lives. And then they also can help us be physically active. So I took Finn out on a run earlier today, and he helps to keep me motivated and stay off the couch as much as possible, because he likes to be a pretty active dog, whether he's playing fetch or we're going on walks outside. So what are some ways that you guys also know that animals can serve really great purposes in lives? Can you think of anything, Peggy?
That's what I'm trying to think. I mean, we talked about service dogs, which can like open fridges and turn lights on and off, and that's really cool. And they are really good listeners. Lucy obviously is not a really good listener. I think that one of the things they make you do is really think about somebody else. You know?
Yeah, caring for somebody else is something that we do as scouts. Do a good turn daily, help other people at all times, and we can practice that when maybe there's no people around by helping with our animals.
Yeah, when my kids were little, we had kittens a couple of times, and we had puppies on and off. And I really think that that is how they learn to care for others, from learning how to care for those itty bitty tiny helpless creatures.
That's pretty cool. So the box say that some dogs can help with seizures. Yes, they can be trained to sense when a seizure might be starting to happen, and alert the human so they can get themselves in a safe place before a seizure can happen. Now my computer is being a little bit funny here, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you the poster that I made. But one of our requirements is to put together a poster showing how pets can be helpful to humans. And a way that you can do that is either physically with a piece of blank paper and then printing out pictures and pasting them together with little descriptions, or in our Scouting at Home age, if you want to do that digitally, a good tool for that is Google Slides. It's a free tool that you can make a PowerPoint presentation, but I use it with just one slide. And I like to kind of put pictures and text on it just like I would in real life, but then I can share it with people who aren't here with me. So I don't know if this is going to let me share, but if not, then I'll post a picture to it in the comments after our session here today. We'd love to see your posters that you make of other ways that you know that people can help to or can have pets to help them, and look forward to seeing those posted on our Facebook pages.
Yeah, I'm excited to see those. Okay, should I start Julia's video now?
Yes, so we'll finish up our lesson here today with a presentation by the dog groomer, Julia, that Peggy mentioned earlier, and how that she takes care of dogs in her profession.
Now, interesting fact, her husband is an Eagle Scout.
Oh, that's very cool.
So.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I am a pet groomer. So what is dog grooming? This includes everything from cutting hair, bathing a dog, basic hygiene, as well as owner education. We have some very specialized tools that we use in our everyday, and I have a few pictures here that I can show you. So our first big one here are my clippers. This is what I use to trim the majority of the dog hair. Along with my clippers, I have specialized blades that go on them. These come in different lengths for different reasons. I can also put on guard combs to make the dog hair longer. Another one of my tools is a comb. This is possibly my most important tool. I can use this to not only find tangles, but also check the skin underneath the hair. This is called a slicker brush. I use this to work out tangles, as well as take out a lot of hair when we're shedding. This is called a de-shedding rake. This actually uses small blades to go down to the undercoat on a shedding type dog. And it pulls it out, makes it easier for me as well as the owner. This is called a curry brush. It is a rubberized brush. It's used on very short-haired dogs, such as pit bulls or Great Danes, who have very short hair, but still needs to get it de-shedded. These are called nail clippers. They're pretty easy to figure out. This is a specialized tool called a hemostat. I use this to pluck out ear hair that might obstruct an ear canal, as well as pull ticks off of dogs. I also have specialized grooming scissors. This is a pair of curved scissors. This is a pair of straight scissors. These are called thinners. And these are called chunkers. Each of these different shears has a different purpose, and each one is used differently, obviously. Now, one of the biggest tools I use is a grooming table. This is a specialized table that is meant to hold a higher weight, as well as be stable. Many of these grooming tables have the ability to go up and down, depending on how big the dog is, so that I don't hurt myself or the dog putting the dog on top of the table if it's a larger breed, but also helps me push the table up so that I can groom smaller dogs. You'll also notice that it has a grooming arm. On this arm, I can put on something called a grooming loop. I put this around the neck like a leash to hold the dog still. This is a high velocity dryer. This is very similar to a hair dryer that you or I might use after our shower. However, it's very high powered. It can be very loud, and it basically blasts all the air into the dog's coat so that we can help them shed easily and just dry them off after a bath. So, I do have some specialized chemicals and soaps, things that are special to my trade. I use special shampoos for dogs and cats. There's special shampoo for sensitive skin, for fleas and ticks, for odor control, whitening, as well as color depositing. Another one of my major chemicals that I use is called a blade coolant. My clippers can run my blades very fast, which can cause the blades to become warm or hot. So I use this blade coolant to keep my blades cool so I don't burn the dogs. Another thing that I use is ear powder and ear cleaner. The ear powder I use to grip the hairs inside of the ear that need to come out. This is usually on dogs that have long hair. This would be something that you would find on poodles and on Maltese and Shih Tzus. After I've cleaned out the ear hair, I will then use the ear cleaner to give the ears a good swipe and make sure they're nice and clean. Another one I use is styptic powder. Sometimes when we're clipping nails, it's possible that we clip them a little short. And if we clip them too short, it's possible for them to bleed. We use the styptic powder to stop the bleeding, as well as to sanitize the area and keep it free from infection. After the bath, we will sometimes spray them down with a dematting or detangling spray. This works very similar to a leave-in conditioner. It makes it easier for me as a groomer to cut the hair. And of course, we want all of our puppies to smell good after a nice grooming session, so they also get a scent spray, which is specially made for dogs. There is also dyes that are made specially for dogs. So real quick, I'm going to walk through a typical day, what might go on with a dog as we come into grooming. So the first thing that happens is that the owner comes in and drops off the dog. So we take this moment with the owner to talk to the owner and ask them what they would like done with their animal, what if there's anything special that they want done, any special shampoos, or if they have any health issues that we need to be concerned about as we are grooming them. We also take this moment to assess the hair and the skin of the dog. So we'll also ask about allergies as we go through here. So the most important thing we check for is matting, which is when we get big tangles in the hair. We also look for parasites like fleas and ticks. We look for skin infections or skin irritations that may need a specialized shampoo. So after the puppy has been dropped off, it goes for a bath. So the important thing is that we've gone over with the owner what kind of specialty bath or specialty shampoos that we would need for the bath. Throughout the bath, we clean them thoroughly from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail and everything in between. At our particular salon, we also do a facial and sometimes a foot scrub. After the bath comes drying. This is when we set them on a table and use the high velocity dryer to push out any shedding hair or check the skin as we go for any irritations, or sometimes we find small issues that the owner needs to check with a vet about. After drying comes the haircut. So the first thing we do after the dryer, because the dryer moves very fast, sometimes it can leave small tangles. The first thing we do is brush out the hair thoroughly from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail. If it's a dog that sheds, like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, we may use the de-shedding rakes and detangler spray, as well as some light clipper or light scissoring. If it's a dog that needs a haircut, like a long-haired breed, such as a Lhasa Apso or a Doodle, we'll take this moment to use the clippers. And that's for the overall haircut. We follow that up by scissoring. Then we clean the ears, the eyes. We trim the toenails on all of our pups. And then we do a spritz of scent, a bow or bandana, and the puppy goes home. A typical groom time takes anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, with it varying as far as the dog's size, type of coat, drying time, as well as any issues we might find. And I think that's about it.
So maybe we can have a little question and answer session if there's any questions that our scouts haven't had a chance to get answered yet. But some questions that I have for you is, what is your favorite part about taking care of animals, all the animals that you have there with you in your home?
I think it's the challenge because, I mean, in a lot of ways, dogs and cats are easy. They'll tell you when they're hungry. They'll knock the dish over when there's no water in it. If the cat box isn't done, you know, the cat will let you know, that sort of thing. So with things like the reptiles, it's every day you're going in there and you got to check to make sure if the water, since Bert is aquatic, his water temperature needs to be right. I need to make sure there's nothing weird growing in his tank. I have to make sure his heating lamp is right and his sun bulb is good. And then Lucy, I have to make sure her humidity is good and her temps are right. And she needs one side that's warm and another side that's cooler. There's a challenge to it. And I think I enjoy the challenge, doing my best to take care of these animals as best as I can.
I know that you have some very interesting animals there, so I can see why why you like the challenge. And then my second question for you is a little bit more specific. Do you know if pets have allergies like animals?
Yes, pets can have allergies. I've known dogs that are allergic to grass, so bad that when they get back inside, they itch until they create bare spots. My one dog seems to have a small allergy to grains, because unless I get him the grain-free food, he starts farting.
Oh no, we don't want
really
that.
Bad. Like, it'll clear the room. So
his tummy is upset.
Yes, so he has to have grain-free food. But yes, pets can have allergies.
Interesting. Well, if we have any last questions from our scouts, we'll have them come in here. But I want to let everybody know that if you have been participating alongside us and you do those activity segments from home, like putting together that poster about pets who care for people, and a little report on how you can care for a pet that you might enjoy having in the future, then you have completed requirements 1, 2, and 3, which is cool. That's all the requirements for this adventure. And if you are interested in staying tuned with us, we have more exciting activities for all of our Cub Scouts over the next couple days and the next few weeks for our Scouting at Home programs. Just check us out on lecbsa.org, and there are daily den meetings, and we have an upcoming Camperall, which is a camp from home experience on April 25th that we'd love everybody to be a part of. You can camp from your backyard or indoors under a tent fort. And there'll be lots of activities to participate in throughout the day, and then overnight, and then to breakfast the next day. So check that out on our website as well. We hope everybody is staying home and staying safe. I don't see any other questions from our group there. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and thank you in particular to you, Peggy, for being our guest speaker today. Thanks for showing everything you did.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. We'll post a link to that video so you can check out the end of it in the comments. And like I said, the story of Balto and that example poster for you as well. Thanks for joining us, and we'll say goodbye to Finn. Bye, Finn.
Bye, Finn.